would just love the idea of someday maybe my great-great-grandchildren being able to see me and hear me and what I think and what I remember about our family, but
because I'm interested, and you are. I assume that there'll be a lot more people interested.
well, I would love to know more about my grandmother's grandmother. I really would. She came over to this country as a young woman and sold sandwiches to the workers down in the Wall Street area, which at that time was probably more like farmland than Wall Street.
What do the sandwiches look like?
How do I know what the sandwiches look like?
Curious. Like what kind of sandwiches people buy?
I have no idea. Probably bread and butter. They were very poor in those days. But if she had only invented the bagel, we would all be rich. But she didn't. And my grandmother, whose name was Nellie Lynch, who married a Lynch, she married Jimmy Lynch, was an only child. She had a large family and lots of ups and downs. My grandfather was a New York City fireman when the fire engines were horses and wagons. And she was very into having families stay close together and love each other. And my mother...
Excuse me. She was an only child? Sorry.
My mother growing up was part of a very close family. And so my mother too felt very much that family was very important. And it seems like an odd thing to say, but my mother's friends were her brothers and sister. She didn't have any other friends, but that was plenty because her sisters-in-law were also her very good friends. They all got along great, and they all seemed like people who loved to laugh and relax and enjoy each other. And then it sort of started with my generation, and the same feelings were just there, always there. Never harsh words, always love and people watching out for each other. And we never were blessed with a lot of money, but we were sure blessed with love, and everybody was funny. I mean, I really do think that I come from the funniest family in the world. Anytime I'm with my daughters, my son, my nieces, my nephews, all we do is laugh. We just laugh and laugh. God knows what we're laughing at half the time, but everything is fun. And no one ever criticizes, no one ever belittles or tries to take anyone down. We just build each other up and praise each other. And it's just a nice way for family to be.
How did that get started?
That just goes on in our family, and I think
But where did that come from?
it never happened at home as I was growing up. I didn't know people actually put each other down for fun. That was just something I'd never experienced before, and I found it so hateful and horrible that I certainly never allowed my own children to do it. I felt like you were there to encourage each other and praise each other and have fun together. And you could get mad at each other and fight with each other, but you could not belittle each other, ever.
No, I do remember getting punished for doing it when we did do it. I mean,
Well, it's a mean way to be.
It certainly would be hard to see or hear it now as we grew up. But as kids, you know, we did our things, and in my mind, because we got punished for it, eventually, even if we still did it anyway, we still understood that it was a behavior that wasn't acceptable. So as you got older, and you know, I think that we gave that stuff up. Where as kids, you do unacceptable behavior, you take your lumps. But for some reason, because we were typical kids, and kids learn a lot of mean things in school and in the playground and in the real world. But that at home, you said something like that, you got in trouble for it. And that after a while, you got to a certain age, it just seemed to go away. Like I know right now, if we had like a family thing and somebody said something to me, I'd be so stung by it because it never happens. And I have to think, oh my God, I have to really look at it and think, is there some truth to that? Because it's so rare that those things ever come up.
I don't think she ever sat us down and told us to be generous and kind. She just was generous and kind. And we didn't know any other way to be growing up, because what we saw in my home was my mother giving everything to us. Everything that she had, which certainly wasn't anything that cost any money, because she didn't have any. But when my father came home from work, he treated my mother like this was his sweetheart, and he would always kiss her hello, he'd kiss her goodbye, and a nice loving kiss, not just a...
Your father?
Yeah, never like just a peck
Even
on the forehead or something.
when
He
you were a
gave
little
her a
kid?
real kiss, always. And we grew up that way. When I was a teenager, if I met my sister Joan on Fordham Road shopping, I could be with friends, or she could be with friends, or we could be alone. When I think about it now, it amazes me. We stopped and kissed each other. We may have seen each other an hour before at the house, and we were going to see each other an hour later at the house. And yet on Fordham Road, we didn't just say hi, we stopped and kissed each other.
Did your friends do that?
No, my friends didn't do that, but my brother and my sisters and I did. And we were taught to be very proud of our younger sisters, very protective of Ginger as a little girl, because she was a very shy little girl. And we respected that. And Danielle, when she came along, I can't even begin to explain what Danielle was to us. She was just so precious and amazing and wonderful. And I can remember right up to the day she was born, I had no interest in this baby that was coming at all. I was a teenager, and
But even as a teenager, wouldn't you think you'd be more excited?
at 14, all I cared about was my friends, where I was going, what we were going to do that day or the next day.
What kind of things did you do?
We danced all the time. Danced.
14?
Yes. Danced every night of the week.
Set up by the schools or something?
Well, that we would go to the school or the Y or Poe Park or another
You
parish.
just danced in the park?
We danced in the park. We danced all over the place.
Now, when people dance like that, they just brought a radio or something?
No, they had records. Those big old-fashioned records that if you dropped them, they cracked and broke.
But who arranged? Somebody brought their own, or the park had it?
No, the park would have it, or the CYO, or the Y, wherever we went, would have it.
It was always organized?
It was organized, but like you couldn't buy anything to eat there. You didn't pay to get in. You just danced. There was no like counter set up for sodas or anything like that.
Was it all like Irish Catholic?
No, we had friends that were Irish. It was probably at least 90% Irish Catholic. But that was just the way people lived. It wasn't like we excluded people who weren't Irish Catholic. There just weren't that many around in our neighborhood.